Love finances, the other F word, and want to support the show? Become a patron by going to patreon.com/FTOFW. You'll get special features, a shout out on the air, and early releases. Or if you prefer, pick up some merchandise at financestheotherfword.com.
As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, as wonderful an attorney as I am, and as good as Stormy is at whatever it is he does, please do note that anything said in our podcasts are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, Stormy Andrews, founder of Yokel Local Marketing, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Hey guys, welcome to Finances, the Other F Word. And today on the show, you guys, we are interviewing J. Andre Caballero, the Chief Rock Officer of RAPa, which is the Rock Academy of the Performing Arts, also known as Crow. You guys, this is a huge deal opening up here in Vegas. It is the only true rock and roll high school in the city of Las Vegas. To be quite honest with you, maybe in the United States, we're not really sure on that. So don't Google.
Maybe in the world.
Maybe in the world. But when I Google checked it, I couldn't find any other rock and roll high schools. So I'm going to go with the belief that it's in the United States until somebody proves me wrong. Mm-hmm. This is such a big fucking deal, you guys, because this is going to help all of the high school students turn into responsible musicians that don't piss away all of their money, that create great fucking music. Jay, thank you so much for coming on. This is awesome.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks, Mel, Zoe. Great to be here today. Thank you.
So this has been 5 years in the making?
3, maybe 4, 2018. Is that 3 years? Yeah, about 3.
So what happened in 2018 where, you were sitting around, you just thought, man, it'd be kind of fucking cool to do a high school. Like, how did the thing even start?
Yeah, so I'm a musician myself. I'm not a professional musician, but I've been playing piano and guitar and bass for 40 something years, basically my whole life. And so I have that musician in my blood, and then I pass it on to my kids. And also all 3 of my kids are musicians or vocalists or performers. And so 2 of the 3 went to Las Vegas Academy of the Arts here in Las Vegas, which is the premier music performing arts school. And so we've been a part of that community for the past 8 years. My youngest just graduated from there this past year. So we're actually done with schooling. We're
wow,
done
lucky
with
you.
Post pre-secondary or higher education, right? So,
right.
And then along the way, we were a part of the School of Rock community. So my son and daughter were members of the School of Rock Las Vegas West for the past 8 something years. And so we've been a part of that community, which is an amazing community, a School of Rock after school program, rock and roll, performance and learning private lessons and stuff like that. So along the way, it was like 2017, 2018, I'm thinking, okay, this is great and everything, but how about an actual school, like the actual high school that kids would go to, as opposed to, after school program. And then, LVA being what it is, it's not contemporary nature. They're learning a lot of classical, a lot of jazz and traditional type of music, which is good and everything, but it's not contemporary. So if a kid wanted to rock out, they can, but they're going to do it basically on their own time. Mm-hmm. So what they're learning in school is very traditional. So that was the idea, a mold between LVA, School of Rock, but in a formal setting in a high school. So that's where it came from in around 2017, 2018.
And so for those of people who don't understand the School of Rock, explain a little bit about that, because I'm not sure if the School of Rock is just a Vegas thing or the School of Rock is like a thing.
Yeah, it's international corporation. They're everywhere. I think they started here in the United States, but I know they're definitely in Australia and New Zealand. So it's an international company. And of course, it was made famous by the movie Jack Black, right? School of Rock back in 2004. I don't know what it was, around there. And so that was a School of Rock that they created, right? And so all intents and purposes, that's where it came from kids being able to rock out on venue and stages and just have a concert. So, and just be rock stars at age of 10 through 18 or so. So that's what School of Rock is. And we have 2 schools here in Las Vegas, the Las Vegas West, and then actually Henderson as well. And so they've been playing, they play on the Strip, they play at Mandalay Bay House of Blues, Hard Rock Cafe on the Strip, and all these other locations here in Vegas. So it's awesome.
But it's, it's an after school program that private pay. It's not a traditional school like RAPa is, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. So it is. It's a tuition-based school. It's just extracurricular activity, and it's got a tuition base that hey, if you could afford it, great, it's awesome. But if you can't afford it, you're not, unfortunately, not going to be on there. And that's one. I guess the thing that distinguishes us is that we are tuition free, and there's a caveat to that which I could explain later. But since we're part of a public charter school, it's tuition free, right? And as opposed to School of Rock, like I said, if you could afford it, great. If you can't, which there are a lot of kids and families that just can't, and I acknowledge that, I realize that, and we're fortunate enough we were able to put it in our budget to do that with 2 of our kids. So that's one of the differences. Besides being RAPa, being an actual school within a public charter school, School of Rock is, again, extracurricular after school program, tuition based.
Right. So what is I wouldn't want to go back to high school, but let's say I'm in high school. What would my day look like with RAPa? Like, I want people to understand the reason why this school is such a big deal. And on this show, we talk about music and money. And this is literally one of the things that's going to be a feeder into the music industry. And so what would a day look like for a student at RAPa?
Right. Yeah, so a day would be, before I answer that, I want to say that our academic partner is the Delta Academy here in Las Vegas. Right. And so they are the academic charter school, public charter school, like I said, tuition free. And so they don't have a music program. And so that's where the connection was made. The long story short is that we are the music conservatory of the Delta Academy. And that connection was made a while ago. And so now here we are. So with that said, a student that wants to come to RAPa, they're going to interview on audition. And then, so let's just move forward. They get in, right? They're accepted as a golden pick. And when I say the pick, I mean like a guitar pick. So it's symbolic of being selected and picked for the school, right? So they get picked, they're in. And so let's just move forward to say August 9th, very first day of school. If you're in the morning cohort or in the afternoon, you're going to be with us for 3 hours face to face. And then you ask, well, what happens to the other 3 hours or 4 hours of school, right? Because, typically a high schooler goes to school from, say, 8 to 2, right?
Yeah.
Well, they're going to come to us from 8 to 11, we'll say, and have their lunch. And then they're going to do 3 hours of academics online through what we call the Edgenuity platform, which is online based. So Delta Academy has been doing this for 14 years. They're actually one of the first schools here in Vegas to do distance learning. During the pandemic, we all went to distance learning.
Right.
Delta said, "Hold my beer. We've done this already."
Yeah.
Past 14
whatever.
years, right?
Right.
Whatever. Transition, COVID, pandemic, we're good. But CCSD is like, oh my God. And I was part of CCSD as well. So it's just been crazy. So 3 hours a day, RAPa, music theory. I don't care if you're a guitarist, vocalist, or a sound guy or girl, you're going to do music theory. You're going to learn about music. You're going to learn how to read music eventually, right? History of rock from 1920s to current. So modern, when I say rock, I mean everything under the umbrella of rock, right? So we're going from Robert Johnson blues in the 20s and 30s. We're going to doo-wop. We're going to Elvis. We're going to electric blues. We're going to British Invasion. We're going to funk. We're going to Motown, right? We're going, of course, into Eagles and Led Zeppelin and, into the 70s. And then new wave, we're talking about now like Run DMC, and then hip hop influence into the 90s, grunge, of course, gangster rap. So all the way up into the 2020s, right? That's where we're at. That's going to be the history of rock. And the cool thing about that, we wrote the curriculum based on our influences and other resources that we've had. So that's one class you're going to take, history of modern rock. And then the third is the master class / performance. And this is actually like, if you're a guitar player, you're working with a pro guitarist on specifically guitar. You're a bass player, specifically bass, drums, keys, vocals, and then eventually sound, lighting, engineering. You'll be working with professionals from the field on that. So in those 3 hours, that's what you're doing. And then every Wednesday, though, it's nothing but playing and performing. That's our day to perform.
Wow.
And, we're not getting out books necessarily, or actually, we don't use books. Everything's online now, right?
Mm-hmm.
So on Wednesdays, it's just nothing but performance and getting on those instruments and singing and learning songs. And because we're going to perform constantly, we're at the minimum, we're going four times a year concerts.
Oh, great.
But, we'll stretch it out to 6 to 8 per year, at least, at various venues. So that's a typical day. 3 hours RAPa, 3 hours of Delta doing online learning. And then they'll be able to go in computer labs at the campus and then just get help from teachers on algebra, history, English, all that, the stuff that we had to learn, right?
Yeah.
To get a high school diploma.
So what is what was I know you touched on it a little bit, but I'm very interested to, we all have passions in life, right? Zoe's is cats.
Not just cats.
Well, it's just cats.
Mostly
cats. And she's a whore for social injustice. So she does a lot of volunteering. So that's with Zoe. I have a passion for this show and financial literacy. And so I know that RAPa came out of a seed of yours. So I want to know the story behind, this is why I decided that it was fucking worth putting 3 to 4 years of my life, which I'm never going to get back, into this, and the passion that drives you, because that's what's keeping you on this course. And quite frankly, that's what's gotten you to this point. So I'm really curious to hear about that.
Yeah, right. So, remember I was telling you, I've been playing for 40 something years. Piano is my primary instrument, and then keys later on in, junior high, because I'm Depeche Mode, I'm New Order. I'm from the new wave generation, right? And so that's what I played as a teenager, synthesizers, right? And so that was my passion growing up. And then when you graduate from high school, okay, go to college, I want to be a musician, right? Parents say, oh, no, that's all good and everything, but you're going to go get a real degree and, get a job. Mm-hmm. And me being naive 18-year-old, I'm like, okay, I get it, fine. I can still play keys on the side, whatever. So anyways, that's what I did. That's what a lot of people do, right? And so I got a degree in biology. And eventually became a teacher, a biology teacher. Didn't really particularly love it. Didn't have any passion for it. Was paying the bills. I was making decent money at the time. And then eventually got into administration because, I want to kind of done with teaching, want to make more money, right? All that stuff. And so I was been an administrator for the past 10 years plus now, and university adjunct professor, Grand Canyon University, University of Redlands, in Redlands, California. So, I've been doing the whole education thing for 25 years now. It was never my passion, but it was a means to an end. And then now, like I said, I have 3 kids. They're all musicians and vocalists and performers. And it's like, hey, you guys do what you want to do. If that's your passion, go for it. I'll support you. And you want to go to college to become a musician, I'm there for you. So, that right there is like, the mindset is different. It could be generational, right? Mm-hmm. And so my kids' passion is their passion as well, vice versa. Like, I want to see them really succeed. And so that's when I was going, okay, I think it's my turn now to let me get my passion going on as well. Mm-hmm. So I've been playing music here in Vegas for the past 9 years, out with the church or on the strip on various projects, right? But, I'm not a professional musician, I guess technically I am because I've made money on it, but you know what I mean? I'm not in a band or anything like that. So let me just do this. I'm an educator. Like I said, 25 years in education. I know how education system works. I know what music education or the lack of music education, at least the caring side of it with bureaucracies is, right? It's like kind of the back burner, we need reading and writing and math and then sports, right?
Right. And the arts.
Reading, writing, math, and sports.
Yeah. The arts is down at the bottom.
Thank you. Arts anytime a budget cut comes in, arts, right?
Right.
And so that's part of the motivation right there. It's like, okay, screw this. Let me get the forefront should be music education on this. But how do we make it forefront without being inside a lot of the bureaucracy of reading, writing, and math? You have to create your own school, basically. Now, I didn't create my own school because I'm partnered with the Delta Academy is the school, but think of it as a college. We are the school of music within, say, UNLV. We are the school. So it is like our thing. And there's no, knock on wood, there's no budget cuts here. It's like our money's going towards that. And we have a specific vision and mission that we're driving for these kids and what they're going to get out of this at 4 years of this school. Of course, the number one priority and goal is going to be the high school diploma. They're going to graduate. 100% of our kids are going to graduate high school.
Right.
But what else are going to come out of it? They'll have the, on the cap and gown, they'll have the RAPa scarf, whatever they call it. They'll have that. But that'll signify that, hey, they've had 10,000 hours of playing on stage, music theory, commercial music industry, finances, social media, all that stuff. They'll have it behind them as almost essentially having like a degree, like maybe even like an associate's degree coming out already. Because I don't think there's anything like this right now. It's like you could go to Stagecraft Institute to become a sound engineer or at least get on that track, sound, lighting, stagehand. You're going to pay $12,000, as a 18-year-old through whatever, I guess whatever age that they want, they accept, right? But that's $12,000. Our kids are going to have like that type of pathway, but already have done it by the time they graduate from high school. So, and it's tuition free. There was a caveat on that though. Maybe I'll explain later. So if it answers your question, Mel, that was the passion. That's where we're at today, and that's what drove me to where we're at right now.
So you literally want to produce a little army of just music professionals every graduating class.
They're going to come with they're going to come with different sets of skills, and they're going to leave with different sets of skills. So we're not expecting every single guitarist to come out as Eddie Van Halen. All right, or Prince, or singing like Prince, or whatever. And Mariah Carey's, Beyonce's, whatever. We're not expecting that, but they're going to start here as a freshman, and then by the 12th grade, you're going to see some transformation along the way, right? So that's where we're at. So, yeah, kind of like that little, like you're saying, an army of just musicians, sound people, singers, just coming out of RAPa, and it'll be huge.
So you guys tried to go the charter school route and then just didn't work out.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't work out, not because we weren't just going to continue on, but we did defend it with the state of Nevada Charter Authority back in 2019, and we got declined, and it wasn't because they loved the idea. First of all, they wanted support, but when we're talking monies, taxpayer monies to be funding schools, right? And that's a big deal. So they don't just give the certificate to just anyone, right? But they're just saying, hey, listen, fix this, come back next year, we'll try again. And then so that's what we're doing. We changed our board of directors. We met new people like Mel, you, and Zoe, and others. We met different people, different connections, and so we had our different pathway. And one of those was we did meet Marlon Greenwood from the NFL Alumni Association of Las Vegas, who coincidentally is the board chair, I believe, of the Delta Academy, which is our academic partner. And thus we met Dr. Kyle Knold, who's the superintendent of the school. And then so over like a good year plus, we were talking, vetting each other. Is this the right fit for us? And so it was the right fit, and we were brought aboard technically as their conservatory. So RAPa is not chartered. We don't have an authorization from the state of Nevada. Delta does. So however you want to see it, we are just part of that school. But we have our own budget, and we are putting monies in and funneling that budget to meet our mission and our vision from our statement. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, and the reason why I pointed that out is not for any other reason, but there's probably people that are listening right now, and coming out of COVID, there was a lot of reevaluations that went on with a lot of people, and I know that there's probably a lot of people out there is like, fuck, I've always wanted to do a business, or I've always wanted to do a rock and roll high school, or I've always wanted to start painting or something like that. And I think it's important when life gives somebody a win, that when they first started, Jay and Al, who couldn't be on this call with us, when they first started out, they thought it was going to look like this, and they did a fuck ton of work, and they put together a stupidly large binder full of all kinds of stuff, and they went in and it didn't work out, and I'm sure they were uber defeated by it. And then things morphed, and like you said, there was things that were overhauled, but now July 30th, they're going to launch with the inaugural concert, getting ready for the soft launch of the first school year. And so for anybody out there who might be listening, if you're feeling defeated at this moment, just keep fucking going, because it might not look like how you think it's going to look, but it's going to fucking look exactly how it's supposed to look. And that's the only reason why I brought that up. But I mean, that being said, you've had a great deal of support that have been pouring into the school, and people who have partnered up with you just recently, like Ryan, if you want to talk about how all that came about.
Yeah, Ryan Patrick, he's the lead guitarist from the Vegas group Otherwise. And if I'm sure many of you know Otherwise, but if you don't, they're huge. They're a hard rock band, just anthem. Perhaps anthem rock. At least one of their songs reminds me of that. But they're just hard edge rock and roll. And we have mutual friends, from School of Rock. One of my buddies, Ryan, was the guitar teacher of the son, who was a School of Rock member as well. And then so over the years, we would go see Otherwise. So I think we saw Otherwise in 2013. And I think they started like in 2008. That's when they, started the group, but they weren't really playing until later. But anyways, 2013, we saw them, I think, at House of Blues. And then 2015, later on at Sunset Station, Arena, whatever it's called. And then again at the Joint. And so we followed Otherwise all this time, but I'd never met Ryan Patrick. And until our friend said, hey, let's revisit this, because I think Ryan is setting up or has a nonprofit that'll help schools, putting instruments back in schools. And so we made the connection, and it's so be it that he was actually doing a fundraiser, rock and roll 5K, for his nonprofit called Life by Music, which he just developed out of his own passion to help music education and kids. So that was his thing. And after talking with him, like, that's what he wants to do. He's a rock star. He's an awesome guitarist and singer, but he told me straight up, with a beer, said, hey, this is all great and fine and dandy, but my true passion is to help kids and get the music out there, because I was one of those kids. And so, and I totally 100% believe the guy that's where his heart's at. So we were a sponsor of the 5K, the Rock and Run 5K. This was back in May. And then Otherwise and friends did a concert at the golf center, formerly Callaway Golf Center, right on the Strip. And so that was like one of the first concerts that I think after pandemic, or at least they opened up shop here, right, in Vegas. And so we went there. They're just rocking the house. It was just amazing. They had a good crowd there. And then he donated. It was amazing. He donated 2 Epiphone acoustic guitars to the school. I wasn't expecting it, because me and Barbara, my wife, were out just on the lawn watching them rocking. And then he goes, actually his brother, the lead singer, Adrian, he goes, hey, Jay, where are you at? Jay, where's Jay at? RAPa. And so I was like, oh my God. So here I am. So get up here. And so I get up there, and then they did a spiel. It was great. He just said, hey, we just want to gift Jay and RAPa, Rock Canada Performing Arts, these 2 guitars to basically get your program up and running. They're a brand new school here in Vegas, contemporary arts, contemporary music, and we support them 100%. And so here's a gift, and it was just amazing. And so
wow.
Since then, it's like the relationship is there. He continues to help us out. I just met with him. He's going to be part of the July 30th event. He was instrumental in trying to get us the venue with no ACL, unfortunately, structure, because it's a warehouse, right? So we're going to look for another venue. But he's been there, and he's going to continue to be there. He's going on tour with Otherwise starting in August, and they'll be gone for about, I don't know, a couple months. They're going up to basically the West Coast tour. They're awesome. They'll be playing with other big headliners and stuff. So yeah, Ryan Patrick, and there you go. That's a good example of like, hey, failure, if you denial, all that good stuff, and that leads just to bigger and better things. And not only Mel O, Zoe, Marlon, and Kyle and Carl, but then we got Ryan Patrick as well. So it's just amazing.
It's great.
So what is the July 30th concert going to look like? So it's to kick off and say, hey, everybody, this is fucking RAPa. What can we expect for something like that? Zoe and I will be in attendance, of course.
Of course.
Nice. Yeah. So we wanted to do some type of just break the ice type deal because we're brand new, right? So parents are trusting in us that they made the right decision to basically, not send their kids to their high school that they were going to go to, like Liberty or Centennial or wherever, and go to a brand new school, right?
Take that
and
chance.
So we respect it. Yeah, totally respect that, and don't take that for granted at all. So we wanted to say, okay, before school started on August 9th, let's have, formal word is orientation, right? So let's have an orientation, which we will on July 28th at the Delta Academy. And yes, it's going to be an orientation, and we will get information out to the parents. But I have hired an MC. It's a good friend of mine. He does USA boxing. He's like one of the guys that he's kind of like a Buffer type, Bruce Buffer. It's time, right? He's like kind of like that, right? In the red corner, like that. So he does flips, like he could do backflips and all that stuff. So he's our hype guy. So he's gonna be there just to get everyone, motivated and excited about RAPa instead of me getting up there and just saying, "Hi, welcome to RAPa, blah blah," the Bueller thing, right? No, I wouldn't do that. But anyways, you get the point, right? So we're gonna do that. We're gonna get gifts. We're gonna get swag, contests, just to get the ice break, to get them feeling good about it. Then we'll get into the business of, okay, we got scheduling, we got uniforms, we got conservatory fees, we got this and that and this, right? For about an hour, we'll do that. And then we'll say, okay, parents, thank you for your time. You could leave now. We got a lot of things to do with the kids. We got to learn some songs. And so that's what we're going to do Wednesday, which is the first day, the 28th. Wednesday afternoon, we're going to start the listening party with the kids with songs. And we're going to get them on instruments that afternoon. And we're going to start learning songs that afternoon. Then we're going to go home that night. You got 3 songs. We'll say you're doing Let's Go Crazy by Prince. You're doing Van Halen Jump. And then you're doing Beyonce, that song by her. So those are the 3 songs you're doing, right? And you go home and practice it. Thursday comes, we're doing nothing but practicing. So all day Thursday, they're just like jamming and practicing and rehearsing. And then so by Thursday afternoon, they will have hopefully their songs done, right? And then Friday morning, basically rehearsal and run-throughs before noon, and then showtime at 1:00 with the Vegas Chamber ribbon cutting, and then the show. And then they're going to perform in front of their family and friends on hopefully a really grand stage that we're still looking for. So that's what it looks like those 3 days.
And so for some of you guys out there, like when I came up through high school and junior high, I was in band. I was a band geek, played saxophone, and loved it. I really did. And a lot of you guys don't really know a time where there's been band and orchestra in schools. When I was coming up through, there was band, orchestra, choir, there was swing choir, which I always thought was kind of a joke. But anyway, so then what we started seeing a phase out, and about, I want to say 96 or 7, and Jay can correct me on the year, where we started seeing the arts really getting the axe as far as with budgetary concerns. And we had VH1 come in when VH1 was a thing, and they came in and they had a whole campaign called Save the Music. And the whole point of Save the Music was to get and do exactly what RAPa is doing right now, is get instruments into the hands of kids who want to go into the music industry. Look, you guys, the music industry is full of enough starving fucking artists. Okay, I'm kind of fucking over it, right? So the thing is that I want to see some fucking successful music artists. You know, we've had Rick DeJesus of Adelita Zwan here. This motherfucker's independent. He's killing it, and he's doing it his way. And when I look at RAPa, and the reason why I wanted to have Jay on here so bad is because if we could have so many strong, at least, you know, familiar enough with how the music business operates, understanding at least enough about the finances to make sure that they're not getting fucked, that they're not going to be signing a bad deal, and churn them out and start being independent and using all this knowledge and all this skill set that Jay and RAPa is building into them. Do you know how much they could change the music industry for the better? And so when I look at RAPa and I hear about RAPa, in my head, that's what I want. That's my hope for the school, is that it churns out just fiscally responsible, not starving fucking musicians, you know? And we just kind of lost our way when arts just kind of got the axe. And I don't even know if Save the Music is around anymore, because I don't even think VH1 is a thing anymore. But it was a thing, but neither is MTV. I don't know what the fuck happened to MTV, but that's a big pile of shit. I heard on a commercial that MTV now has a true crime show.
What?
Do you remember when you used to fucking watch MTV? Like, you would literally turn on MTV and there's a fucking video. Awesome. And you know what? I can sit here for 48, 80 hours until my eyes bleed and just listen to music and consume music and just see everybody that was coming out. And then it just went to fucking shit, dude. What the fuck?
I want to say it's when they started doing that, the reality show with the friends that lived in the house.
Yeah, Real
Remember
World.
what was it?
Real World, yeah.
Real World. And I admittedly watched Real World San Francisco, right? But I think it's around that time where it kind of just went.
He started it.
Well,
Yeah.
I might have, but yeah, no, I know, I hear you saying. I mean, I was part of the generation, of course, that, you know, you had your VCR and you're recording videos, right, on MTV and all that, and just and then even recording it, you know, on tapes and cassettes, you know, just music, stuff like that, when they played it 24 hours a day, right? I don't know.
And it's so odd to me that we went from a generation that could turn on the television and see videos at mass anytime they wanted to. MTV came around, then VH1 came around, then you had something in it was on BET. They had a music video show, which was cool. Obviously, it was very specific. Then you had Yo MTV Raps, you had Headbangers Ball, and you could at any time turn on the television. And if you caught it just right, you could get exposed in large blocks to all these different types of music. And it's so odd to me that we've came from that generation of those people to a generations that consume so much media, but is so starved on just a lot of the stuff. Like, I wonder if the social media has made it harder for artists to break out and be heard, or if it's made it more prevalent. And I'm not really sure.
Yeah, well, just to add to that, you know, going back to our buddy Ryan Patrick, and he after a good long talk with him, he did say something similar about this, was that he thought that the record contract was going to be the turning point for him, and then of course any person or group that wants to make it in the industry. And he says, on the contrary, it was not. I mean, they signed the contract back in, I think, 2010 or so, and then now they got into the bureaucracy of it all, and he wasn't aware of that at the time. I mean, he was probably 2008. I don't know how old he is, but he was probably in his 20s, I'd imagine, right at the time. And just saying that he didn't know anything about how the industry works. All he knew was like, let's get the record label contract going, and everything, we're going to be rock stars and millionaires, right? He said, it's like 10 years later, it's like I'm far from that mindset now. It's like, I know what it takes now. It's knowledge of everything, like all the stuff that you and we've been talking about leading up to trying to make it is not just that record deal and being able to shred on guitar. It's not that, or sing, like that. So he's a perfect example of someone that would just, for our kids in RAPa, to be like, here's the deal, right? This is lived experience.
Mhm.
And this is like, I could share, he can share that experience. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring in just, of course, the Ryan Patricks of the world out there on all genres, all experiences, and just and give our students the insights. And we plan to do this. So like, our goal is really like twice a month to have a guest speaker to come in and on various topics. And I've stretched it out there to at least my contacts to say, hey, you come in with a workshop on like, as an example, like guitar tapping, that'll be just something that, that we're not necessarily teaching, at the school, but we might get someone in there that's like total master at that. And then he can come in, or she can come in and do that. So that's what I mean. And so for like Ryan to come in and share his experiences about like commercialization, right, in the music industry, and then, just the finances like you're talking about, invaluable. And that's the difference between us and others. And lastly on this, it's like, he went to LVA. Like, Ryan Patrick did go to LVA, and he said, and he had nothing bad to talk about LVA about, because he loves that. That's his alma mater. But there was really nothing about that. He was a guitar major there, and he learned everything he needed to learn, or that was taught there, from Bill Swick, who's just very, very much his mentor still today. But as far as all the other stuff in the industry, there's really not much going on there, and that's what we're going to learn from and move forward with that.
So you've been in education forever, Jay. So the thing is, you guys, he's being modest. This motherfucker's a PhD. Okay. So it's not like he's like, I just went into education because it paid the bills. No, this motherfucker has a PhD. All right. So first of all, let's put that on the side. But tell me.
He's Dr. J and Dr. Crow, right?
Yes.
He's
all those things.
Dr. J.
I know.
Julius Irving, up to a foot and a half shorter.
Well, that's all right. We're not going to hold that against you by any means. So you've been in education forever. So tell us a little bit about your team that you've gathered to launch this program.
All right. So just the founding partners are myself and then Alfred Thornton. And Alfred, I actually taught with him back in California in the late 90s in a little town called Rialto, California. So that's where we hooked up. We were just teachers. And then so we eventually went our separate ways, with life, right? And then he ended up in Los Angeles and Hawaii over the course of 20 years. And then so some reason, I saw his number in my phone, but we hooked up, and he said, hey, I'm moving out to Vegas just to do other stuff. And so I said, cool, here's an idea I have. Here's a vision. So, we're both educators. And so, it's not like I was talking foreign language with the guy. So he knew exactly what I was doing. He comes with a background of performing, as in like more artistic expression, and he's a rapper, hip hop, and doesn't play an instrument, but his instrument is his voice and rapping. Mm-hmm. So we talked about that, and he's like, let's do this. And so I just want to keep that story short. That's how we said, yes, let's do this, let's do the proposal. And so we did that, right? And so the new board, which it's right now, it's more of an advisory panel, because we're not solely dedicated as a charter school board of directors, but we'll call them the advisory panel. Mel O, you've been an instrumental part of this with advising us along the way, and then with your expertise. Of course, we sought you out, and some of the time you could tell your people how we hooked up with, like, serendipitously through at Wells Fargo Bank, right? So you could tell that story later on. And then, of course, your connection with Zoe, and we were seeking legal advice, or as an attorney, basically. So that's how we met you, Zoe. And then which led to other people, like I mentioned earlier. We hooked up with Marlon Greenwood through a land developer, Carl Bonner, and so they were doing other stuff with the NFL Alumni Association, a big project. And then, like I said earlier, once again, Marlon Greenwood is the board of directors for the Delta Academy, which led us to Kyle Connell, to Dr. Kyle. And so those are the people that we have on hand in that first wave. And then my wife, Barbara, has been instrumental as well on this. And she's kind of taken just that, just the side view of it. But she's an educator herself. And so she was bringing in a lot of input and feedback to what we were trying to do. And she did that in the first round too, the first go, and then now in this go as well. So she's definitely part of the team. And then so fast forward to, let's look for the staffing here. So we do have, I'm pleased to announce that we do have our full-time lead instructor and curriculum developer. His name is Mr. Paul Shahada. And Paul is the bass player and former director of O Cirque du Soleil. Now he's the assistant director because he wanted to, let someone else take over the reins of that. But nonetheless, he is, one of the leadership members of the O band, which I was fortunate enough to see the dress rehearsal July 1st, which is incredible. No, not July 1st, June 27th. They started on July 1st. So, full shows after COVID, right? So he is our lead instructor, and this guy is just incredible. I mean, he's a Berklee School of Music graduate, right? He taught in universities, bass. He's been playing for 35 years as a professional, and this guy's just incredible. He's the type of person that RAPa is going to be teaching your kids, okay? If that sends the message, okay? No offense to any music teachers out there, because there's a ton of really good music teachers out there, but we're not looking at him as a band and orchestra choir music teacher, okay? This guy is industry experienced. He's educated, experienced, life experienced. The kids are in good hands with him. All right, so he's the main full-time instructor. We're so proud to have him on board. And the second person that we've secured, her name is Brittany Rose. Brittany, first of all, I met her through School of Rock. She is the lead vocal coach at School of Rock Las Vegas West. She is a young lady. I don't know how old she is, but she's a young lady, amazing crooning soul voice, just amazing voice. She's making her name known here in Vegas. I mean, she's a recording artist. She's on Apple, Spotify, all that stuff. And she's made videos, and she's been playing at the Space. She's been playing hard rock, house of blues, just everywhere. And so she's just up and coming. She is our main vocal coach right now. And then we got a couple people in line that are just basically on the advisory panel. We have Alexander Donaldson, who is a guitar player, and he's done a lot of commercial work out there. He's just a freelance guitarist, and he's just making his name known as well. But he's not on the faculty as part of full time. He's just coming in advisory panel. We've made connections with Michael Kirkab from Equilibrium Audio. Michael was the front of the house for Matt Goss pre-COVID, right? And he's done work with MGM Properties, front of the house monitor work. He owns his own company called Equilibrium Audio. It's just incredible sound guy, and that's where his degree is from, is in sound. Okay, so we have him. I've made connections with other FOHs, front of the houses out there that's going to be on board as well. And we're continually looking for those type of industry experienced people on this team. So if anything, Mel and Zoe, just that's what I want to stress is your kids aren't being taught by band and orchestra teachers. Again, no offense, because I know plenty of good ones, but this is different. Okay, I might sound like that stuck up rock and roll academy performing arts guy, but I'm just keeping it real. Right. These are industry people teaching your kids.
This is the shit. This is the real deal, right?
So
thank you.
Let everybody know, and we're so happy you came on. And of course, Zoe and I are going to be at the performance on July 30th, but let everybody know where they can either get a hold of you or check out the school, plug all your stuff.
Okay. Well, easy to start with the website. So it's rapalv.com, RAPALV.com. That's our website. on there is an enrollment request form. So basically, if you have a kid, high school age, 9th through 12th grade, that is interesting to you, they could just do an enrollment request. I get it. I'm just going to have my admissions officer call and just say, hey, we got your enrollment request. We'd like to set up an interview/audition. So right now we're just doing everything online, through Google Meet or Zoom. And so, but that's how we're vetting our students. We're taking beginner, intermediate, in advanced. So at this point right now, it's like, we're not just taking anyone. You have to show that passion and that character to be a RAPa student. But at the same time, if you show that and you're a beginner, we welcome you,
Right.
because there's going to be a transformation from 9th to 12th grade, and we want to see that transformation. All right, so that's on the website. We're on Instagram finally. We're at RAPa Las Vegas, so RAPa Las Vegas. We're also on Facebook. We're at RAPa Startup, and that was like when we actually physically started back in 2018. We did RAPa Startup. All right, so Facebook, Instagram, website, and then I'm on LinkedIn, but I use my LinkedIn for RAPa primarily.
Mhm.
And you could find me Dr. J Caballero. So that's just type LinkedIn, and I'm on there just tagging and posting as much as I can to get the word out for RAPa. I think that's about it. We're not on Twitter, just those 3 platforms right now.
Great.
So, and email. My email is really easy. CRO, which is Crow. CRO@rapalv.com. CRO@rapalv.com.
Well, I am so excited to circle back on this in a year and a half and see all of the changes that I've made. And I can't wait till the school produces the first fucking major kick-ass rock star that's going to be so amazing. And as always, we appreciate you guys for listening. You can catch us at our socials at Finance is the Other F Word on Instagram. Clubhouse, we don't do so much with anymore. Facebook, TikTok, FTOFW pod, that type of stuff. And please do not forget that we are also honored and happy to be on Kill Pop Radio, which is fucking amazing. It's a fantastic fucking station, you guys. We're so fucking psyched about that. And with that, you can pick up Finance is the Other F Word, another F Word to Love on Barnes & Noble, Amazon, and Target. You can also follow Lulu Mittens on Instagram, and make sure that you follow RAPa and check back. And we appreciate you guys for listening. So we're out this bitch.
Bye.
Thanks, Mel and Zoe. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Please check back for upcoming episodes and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Finances, the Other F Word.